Is it just me, or does anyone else have the feeling that we might just be the team to hand Wolves their first win of the season? I can't help it. I'm a Manchester United fan, and it's part of being a Manchester United fan. You have to expect the unexpected. So I hope it doesn't happen. I really do hope it doesn't happen, but I just can't help but have that feeling. By the way, if this is your first time on Red Side Rants, welcome, and please subscribe and join the family. But as we usually do, we're going to talk about the feeling going into the game. We're going to talk about Wolves. We're going to talk about Manchester United. And then we're going to talk about the lineups, score prediction. And yeah, that's going to be how the video goes. But like I said, I just can't help it but have that feeling that we might just slip up again and hand Wolves their first win of the season, which is going to be really, really embarrassing because they haven't won any game right up to this point. Wolves have 2 points and they sit at the bottom of the table. They sit at the bottom of the table with 2 points, having drawn 2 games, one against Tottenham and one against Brighton. So if we lose the game against Wolves or we don't get maximum points, I don't know how I'm gonna react. They recently just sacked their manager. They just brought in a new manager who has been, to be honest, I've watched their last 2 games. I didn't really watch the game against Crystal Palace, but I've watched their last 2 games, and I think they're starting to look like a defensive unit. Like they've made it, they are making it difficult for their oppositions to score already. It was a 1-0 game against Aston Villa. It was, I think Aston Villa were lucky. They were lucky to get a win in that game, and it was a 1-0 win against was that Nottingham Forest? Yeah, I believe it was Nottingham. So the last 2 games ended 1-0, right? Right now they are kind of struggling to just stop the bleeding. So they are making it difficult for teams who play against them. And we always find ourselves in a situation where we tend to lose games against teams who make it difficult for us, particularly teams who sit in the low block. And that's where my concern is. That's where my concern is. And another funny thing is the manager plays the same formation with us. I don't know if the 3-4-3 formation is something that is on a rise. I don't know why it's so attractive, but we tend to see a lot more managers using the 3-4-3 formation at the top level. Amorim is using it. Glasner is using it. I think their new manager is Rob Edwards. That's how they lined up the last game, is using that formation. Bournemouth have also used that formation in the past if they don't use it again. But quite a couple of teams now use the 4-3, like the 3-4-3 formation. So it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like having 2 teams playing the same formation again. It was same thing against Crystal Palace. We came out on top. I think that was partly due to the fact that the players were really, really tired. The Crystal Palace players were really, really tired. But then, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like, to see what Amorim does against another manager who plays in the same formation as him. But I'm going to be honest, we need to win this game, because if Amorim get outclassed by a manager playing the same formation, and he just got to the league, he's only been there for 3 games. If he gets outclassed by a manager who has been there for 3 games and plays the same formation with a Wolves side who has not won any game this season, it is going to be embarrassing. It is going to be bad. I won't even know what to say. Yeah. But, this is also going to be another opportunity for us to observe another midfield player, which we are currently linked with, Joao Gomez, right? The Wolverhampton midfielder. And I think it is somewhat an opportunistic signing. We're looking at an opportunity because Wolves look like a team who are bound to get relegated this season. So I think if they get relegated, they're going to be looking to offload some players because they won't be able to keep up with the books. And some of those players would want to play in top leagues. So we are looking at it as an opportunity. I don't know how good he is. I've not really watched him. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing how he plays. If he's a player whom I'm going to want at Manchester United. And that's something we should keep an eye on going into this game. But that's a little bit about Wolves. But let's talk about Manchester United, right? Because clearly the last game we missed an opportunity. And before I even talk about Manchester United, we have we are gonna be having another opportunity at the time of shooting this video, right? We have an opportunity to end the game week in fifth or in sixth position, depending on what happens in the game between Crystal Palace and the game between Brighton. So depending on what goes on in those games, we could end up fifth, sixth, or seventh. But we need to get up there. We need to get ourselves closer to the Champions League spot. We've already missed 4 different opportunities. And I'm like 4 different opportunities. We had an opportunity against Nottingham Forest to get ourselves into the top 4. We didn't take it. Tottenham, we had another opportunity. We did not take it. We went against Everton. We had another opportunity. We still did not take it. Against West Ham, we went on to drop points again. That is 4 good opportunities. So right now, it is more like a song at this point. We're just looking to see if they're going to take their opportunity, because you can't count on the team. They've clearly showed us that you cannot count on them to like just go on and take care of business and go home. But let's just hope. Let's just hope that they take the opportunity. Last game, for those of you who watched it, I want us to talk about Ligt, because last game, for those of you who watched it, we could definitely tell that the defense was struggling, especially with Aiden Heaven getting handed his first start of the season in a game like that. I don't blame him because he looks rusty. Aiden Heaven is a good player. Like, I watched him last season, and even when you watch him play, you know that there is a player in there. But what's going on? He is young. He is rusty. He needs a run of games to get into the rhythm. But then we cannot deny the fact that Ligt is obviously a better defender. And he was missed in the last game. His presence was missed. His leadership was missed. You know, like when I was watching the game and Aiden Heaven got a booking in the first 7 minutes, what was going through my mind is, please don't get a red card. I don't care if you just make it to halftime so you can get subbed off. Because you getting a red card in that situation is not just going to go down, like, we're not just going to go down to 10 men. But as a young player, it is going to affect you. So that's what was going through my mind. And thank God he was able to make it to halftime and he was subbed off. And what you could tell during the second half, when he was subbed off and Lenny Euro came up, it was a little bit better. Lenny also has been having a couple bad games. So I'm not even going to talk like, I'm not going to sound like he's been having a good time as well. He's been having some bad games. But when he came on, it was very different in defense. We looked a little bit more comfortable. The Bowen and the West Ham players, they were not just going at him like they were going at Aiden Heaven, you know, and that's what I would do. That's what I would do. It's a young player. He's been given a massive role in the absence of Ligt. I would go at him, you know. Let's see if he can make a mistake, you know. I can take advantage of his inexperience. But we missed Ligt last game, and I'm hoping that he comes back this game, because we really did struggle in defense. We really do struggle in defense. And also, I've talked about being scared that Wolves might win against us. Like, we might just hand Wolves their first win of the season. But for some reason, I also still feel like the fact that we lost the last game, the players would want to respond, because that's what they do. They lose one game and then they respond the next game, and then they lose another game and then they have to respond. But that's not what we want. What we want is consistency. If you ask every fan out there, they're going to tell you what we want is consistency. We don't want a situation where you come today, you perform, and then tomorrow it's like it's a whole different team. And then the next day they come and then it's like, this is prime Barcelona, or this is prime Manchester United 2008 with Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez. And then tomorrow it's like, this is Stoke City. I don't know, like, consistency is the problem. Consistency is the problem. And we struggle with that. But like I said, for some reason, I just feel like the players would want to turn up tomorrow, because they want to turn up in the game against Wolves on Monday, because they want to respond. They want to respond. They want to respond after a very bad performance against West Ham. Well, not very bad, but we dropped points when we really should not have, at home again for that matter. So the players would want to respond. And one more thing I'm going to say is, as a Manchester United fan, I don't know what's going to happen in the January transfer window. I don't know how it's going to look like, but I can't wait for it. I cannot, because we are just crying out for especially a midfielder. We need somebody who can come in there with some legs, who can come in there and do a job. For instance, there was a block Casemiro made in the game against West Ham in the first half. There was a block, like, I don't know who lost the ball, but then immediately the player was about to take the shot. He made the tackle and the ball hit him and went outside. That example right there is the difference I say about Casemiro and Ugarte. Because in that situation, Ugarte is going to be running towards the man to get the ball off him. But Casemiro knows he's about to take the shot. What do? I make the tackle and I block the shot. And that's just the difference between having Casemiro on the pitch and having Ugarte. And what Casemiro does versus what Ugarte does. Ugarte is a player who might go on to be a very good player for another team in another league, but he just doesn't work in this Manchester United team, especially playing in the midfield too. He might work in the midfield 3, but not in the midfield 2. He's not good enough. He's mobile, but he's not good enough on the ball, and he's not smart enough. He doesn't have that IQ of a top midfielder to play for Manchester United side. So I just can't wait for the January transfer window, because we just need someone else to come in. We don't have squad depth. And that's what happens. Every time we do substitutions, the game changes. And unfortunately, you can't play 90 minutes every day with the same players because you have shitty players on the bench. So I hope the January transfer window comes here soon enough. And I hope that we can try as much as possible to stay close to top 4. Because right now the league is still very open. I'm not talking about us winning the league, but it is still open. If you look at the gap from the first position to the 12th position, which is where we are right now, it is 11 points. It is 11 points. You just need to win 3 games. If you win 3 games, like back-to-back games, you probably find yourself in top 4, top 2, maybe top 3. Depending on how the other teams are performing. But you definitely find yourself in top 4 if you can win 3 games consistently. And that's what we need to do, especially with the run of games we have coming up. We've already lost 1 and we've drawn 1. So we've only got 4 points from a possible 9. We need to do better in the coming games. And now going on to the lineup, right? Going on to the lineup. Let's talk about the lineup. And before we even say anything, I think there's one obvious change that everybody would love to see in this game. There's one obvious change, which is Matthias de Ligt coming back in. We missed him last game. Amorim said he was going to be available against Wolves, and I hope he is available, because I don't know who's going to... It's like, now I see why we need another central center back. Because de Ligt and Maguire, they're both out, and we don't have anybody else to play that role. It's not a back 2, it's a back 3. It's like the role is... I don't get it, but that's one obvious change we all want to see. I think apart from that, I will be happy with the team. I will be happy with the team against the team that played against West Ham. I'm one of the people who always says Diogo Dalot should not be starting over Dogu, but I think I'm gradually starting to see why Amorim starts Dalot over Dogu. And that is not me saying Dalot is better anyway. Dalot is good. He's just better than Dogu. He's better than what we have. So I see why he's starting Dalot. So I'm fine with Dalot starting the game. I would go with the same formation, except the same players lineup, except I would take out Aiden Heaven and bring in Matthias de Ligt, which is obviously why Heaven was in the team in the starting 11, because de Ligt was not available. But this will be my starting 11. Senna Lamens, Noze Maswari, because I think Lenny Yoro still needs some time away from the he needs some time away from all the attention and everything. Maybe he can get his head together. And Mazwari is heading off to AFCON too. It doesn't hurt to give him a couple more games and let Lenny Euro rest, because once he leaves, Euro is going to have a lot of time playing. So I would have Mazwari playing playing at left center back, no, right center back. I would have Aiden Heaven. I would have Luke Shaw. That would be my, not Aiden Heaven. I'm sorry. I would have Mazwari, Delete, and Luke Shaw as my back three. Wing backs, I would have Diallo and Dalot. Diallo in the 10, it just doesn't work. Let's just play him at the wing back and maintain it. And midfield, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes. They pick themselves. Casemiro has played, is it 2 consecutive 90 minutes? I think against Crystal Palace, he came off at like the 80th minute, but last game he played 90 minutes. So he's been getting some game time, he's been getting some running, and he looks fit. You know, he's doing the job. So I'm quite happy with him, but that does not mean we don't need a midfielder, because we do need one. We do need one. And then for our front three, mbeumo, Cunha, Xerxes. I know some would probably say bring in Mount. I just think Xerxes is working right now, and for me, if it's not broken, don't change it. So that would be my lineup going into this game. And for my score prediction, I would go with a 2-1 win. Let me know what your thoughts is in the comment section. Let me know what you will change, and let me know what your score prediction for this game will be. And like I said, we need to win this game, because if Ruben Amorim gets outclassed, if he gets outclassed by a manager who just came into the league and plays with a Wolves side who has been abysmal, who has been bad this season, and they look bound for relegation. If he gets outclassed by their manager, playing the same system as him, I'm just going to leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and please remember to subscribe.